This is A Magyar Mystery, written by Chris Good and read to you by Joe Jameson.
Prologue. I remember the muzzle of the pistol being surprisingly cold against my temple, considering it had been secreted down the waistband of Gucci's tracksuit bottoms for the last couple of hours. I was so terrified that all the moisture in my mouth had instantly evaporated, meaning I was unable to yell, "Take that, fucking idiot, and let me go," because my tongue was stuck like Velcro to the roof of my mouth. At least I hadn't yelped like a little schoolgirl when the armory appeared, unlike my cursed companion. We could have been enjoying cocktails at the hotel in the pleasant early evening sunshine now, if it wasn't for his idiocy. But instead we were facing the very real prospect of being shot in the head and dumped in the neighbouring murky river. Ivan had warned us that we certainly wouldn't be the first ones that this ruthless mob had dispatched in such a manner. This wasn't the type of sundowner I'd hoped for when we had departed on our mission, although I was well aware of the dangers we faced and the many skills we lacked for this sort of thing. What made it worse was that the damage had been completely self-inflicted. Felix-inflicted. Talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, as I would have if I hadn't been rendered mute. How I would have loved to throttle his stupid neck at that point. But as he began to pray, I started to think of practical ways to get us out of the perilous predicament. However, before that, let me enlighten you as to how I had ended up in such a ludicrous position. Episode 1. February 2018. The A421. I finally accepted I was losing my sanity, in a lay-by on the Bedford bypass. This wasn't because I had somehow accidentally bypassed Bedford, quite the contrary, in fact. Bedford and its denizens had played a significant role in the worsening of my mental faculties. Bedford had been the final nail in the coffin that I had begun crafting about a year previously. The self-help CD, Awaken the Giant Within, was still playing on the car stereo as I clutched the steering wheel and screamed, "I'm going to be okay!" unconvincingly. The CD hadn't helped. If anything, it had tipped me over the edge. Not the author's fault, I now concede, just a poor selection by myself. Yet another one of the awful choices I had been making at the time. And now, as my grip on the steering wheel tightened and my grasp on sanity loosened, I howled a visceral, indeterminate wail. "I'm going to be okay" had morphed into "Don't do anything stupid." I then drove the car into the "You're now leaving Bedford" signpost. I'm still not sure if this was the world's gentlest ever suicide attempt, or just hostility to anything Bedford-related. The car slowed down and pulled alongside me. A lady in the passenger seat, who, in my perplexed state, I believed to be the reincarnation of Margaret Thatcher, mouthed to me, "Are you all right?" Although I very obviously wasn't, I mouthed back, "Yes, fine, thank you, Maggie." This was mainly because I was acutely embarrassed at being a 6'3", 32-year-old man crammed into his girlfriend's tiny white with a pink roof hot hatch. Anyway, the end result was absolutely no injury to myself, but a horrible grating noise from the engine the whole way home. It had become apparent that I needed mental, as well as mechanical, help. I was the unplanned third arrival into a clan of contradictions. Sean, my middle brother, is the local hooligan, whereas Paul, the eldest one, is a flamboyant homosexual.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?